Good afternoon / evening / morning, whatever time of day it is that you're watching Connecticut Common Sense here. I'm here with Selena Rifkin and myself, Jason Douglas. Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the ever-growing and ever-bubbling Connecticut Common Sense. And we're here to talk about a couple of important topics.
Well, we're going to start with you. We might be changing the name of the show a little bit. There's
Yup.
common sense involved, and we're still all about that not very common sense.
Yeah, let's talk about that just for real brief. I have we have a vision of expanding our podcast and making it more of a podcast network, actually. And we're going to change the name to Common Sense News and Entertainment.
So, and this will be the Connecticut version.
This will be the Connecticut version. So the name of this show would ultimately be Common Sense Connecticut rather than Connecticut Common Sense. Pretty much the same thing.
It's not that
Flip
common.
the two, right?
Yeah, it's not that common.
For the purpose of indexing, we ultimately want it. We are focused on Connecticut, no doubt.
Yes,
We're going to do some very serious journalism here in Connecticut, no doubt about that. But ultimately, it's the whole country.
Yeah,
we're part of the United States.
We are part of the United States, and we're a postage stamp compared to the rest of the United States.
We are a postage stamp. We are basically the highway between New York and Boston.
Yeah, we have our state pride. At least those of us who have managed
Some of us.
to stay here too.
We don't have L-shaped pool tables on our bars like Lincoln, Nebraska does.
Really?
They do. They have L-shaped pool tables.
I need a picture of this.
It's true.
Oh my God.
Now this was from 1996. I can't imagine that they've been gone away though. I'm sure they're still there.
Okay. Yeah, we're gonna find a picture of that. I want to see a picture.
I played on one.
Really?
So tired for a long day of driving on a late night.
That is not just state pride. That is city pride there.
Yeah, that's city pride right there. So we don't have anything like that here in Connecticut. There's not a lot of state pride in here in Connecticut, ultimately, really.
Well,
compared to some other states.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, there's reasons for that. We're very individualized here in Connecticut and nuclear family oriented.
Yeah, and every
we're conservative, even though we're a blue state, we still are a conservative state in terms of the way people live their lives every day.
Yeah.
That's the funny thing. That's the thing about Limbaugh.
My husband has always made is like he knows a lot of people who are liberal, and they all live like they're conservative.
Right. That's the thing that Limbaugh used to say.
They work every day.
Yeah. They live the life of a conservative. They don't even know it.
Yeah.
That's what Limbaugh used to say.
Like, those are some other people. I don't get this.
But we want to do more. And I'm going to throw out there, if you are or someone who is a aspiring, gutsy, journalist-minded person who wants a career in journalism, wants to be part of something from the ground up. When I was a kid, I watched ESPN when it first came out. I was a sports fan, and there's two guys named Chris Berman and Bob Lee, who were the first two anchors on ESPN Sports. And what they did is they took sports and made it into a 24/7 network about sports. No one had ever done that before at the time. This was 1979, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to think, wow, that's pretty. When I got older, I was 9 years old at the time. When I got older and I watched ESPN, I'd watch Bob Lee and Chris Berman. Chris Berman still does work for ESPN even today. I think those guys are really they're on the ground floor of something great. And that's what we want to do with the news here in Connecticut. We want to become the #1 place to go for real information, real news. We're going to get to the bottom of the story. I noticed Channel 8 finally, Jay talked about the other day about the police chief in New Haven resigning and how it wasn't covered enough. I noticed that Channel 8, to their credit, is stepping up and doing a little bit more on that story now.
Good. Yeah, we need more of that.
We need more of that. Yeah. All right. We need real stories here. Okay. We're not going to pull the wool over the people's eyes anymore. Social media is here to stay. But
I have a picture of an L-shaped pool table.
Aha.
I want to
bring it up.
Yeah. Hang on.
See, they're still there.
Okay.
Lincoln, Nebraska.
Oh my God. Well,
what do you do if you live in Quebec?
I can't even. I can't even with you. Okay. I'm having a little trouble figuring out how to do this.
So they're still there. I can't imagine them getting rid of them. Why would they get rid of them? This was 1996. 96? Yeah, 96. Summer '96. Playing on the L-shaped pool tables.
Yeah. I am having a hard time figuring because I've done this once before, but I'm having a hard time figuring out how to share the screen. Um, Show captions, docs, apps. All right,
Uh,
I'll have to figure.
Google
Worst
it.
comes to worst, I will put this thing in the show notes.
Put it in the thing. Yeah, thing afterward. Yeah, absolutely. L-shaped pool tables all the
Yeah.
way.
Yeah, I mean, you guys can do a search for it. It popped right up when I did that, but I used a capital L. So, because
Yes, it's a capital L. It would defeat the whole purpose if it was a lowercase L. You would just have a
well, yeah, it would
fat,
be an
you
I
have a skinny
shape.
pool table.
That would be like a, yeah,
A regular pool table is a little
be a
skinnier,
regular
maybe.
pool table, maybe skinnier, maybe.
We all live in a capital I. You know,
Oh,
do you remember what that's from?
no, I don't.
It's from a kid's show, Sesame Street.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's yeah, okay, it's been a long time.
Capital I, capital
Okay.
I. All right.
Oh, we'll finish up with that. I've got something I want to finish up with, but we'll wait till the end for that one.
Okay. On a
Okay.
more serious note, though,
Yes, on a more serious note,
we
let's,
got to talk about Minnesota.
yeah, we kind of do have to talk about Minnesota.
Even as residents of Connecticut, we got to talk about Minnesota because what's happening in Minnesota is a manifestation of a lot of underlying hidden things that are going on before all this broke out, right? The fraud,
Hmm.
the Somali cultural takeover, um, whatnot. A lot of those things are happening here in Connecticut. They're just not manifesting themselves into this kind of thing. But a lot of this fraud are also happening here.
Hmm.
But what's going on in Minnesota and actually in other cities too, but mostly in Minnesota right now, with this be good thing, this woman named Good that was killed.
Right.
We talked about it the other day, and I've watched a lot more video now since then,
Hmm.
just 2 days ago. And uh,
Pull
no
that
matter
up
what,
right down if you
no
want to.
matter what procedures the ICE agent may or may not have followed, there was absolutely 100% no excuse for what happened. This woman was obstructing law enforcement.
Mm.
We don't know yet whether she was at her house or not. That was what we talked about the other day. I'm not. Are we sure that she was in front of her house? Is that something that's been
Um,
confirmed?
Jay was very sure about that. I am not sure about that.
Okay.
So we have to, so we need to think about where this happened, and try and get some verification on that.
I
Why
think one of the
why don't
first.
you talk and I will look and see if we can get a little more information on that.
All right. One of the first things that when this story first broke, I had heard that she had had a wife, I guess, and that the wife she had gone out that day angry or something. I heard some story about how she had gone out, left that day angry or whatever. Was going to go and protest and leaving. Had left the house though. Not was pulling out of her driveway out of the house. So that was something I heard early on. Um, and even if she was in front of her house, even if we give you that, um, this story that she was just trying to back out of her driveway is not true. Not from every account I've heard. She parked perpendicularly across the road in an attempt to block an ICE convoy, thus
Yeah, I did hear
causing
it was
agents to
intentional.
approach her vehicle and
Yeah.
ask her, and they told her to get out of the vehicle, which she did not do.
Hmm.
Now, that vehicle is a deadly weapon. She used it. Um, we don't know what her intent was, but we do know that she drove it in the direction of an ICE officer. It looks to me in every video I saw that that's the case.
Hmm.
And I've served every right to discharge this weapon in self-defense. And the story. And I haven't heard anything about the officer being charged with anything. Not only certainly not murder. Um, I haven't heard anything like that. Have you?
No, I did hear a completely fake story. There is a story going around that a bunch of lawyers quit the Department of Justice over this,
Yeah,
and
that's not true. I don't think.
that's Harmeet Dillon, who is on X all the time, has said this is completely not true.
Hmm.
So
I
that
heard
she,
the same thing there. And then the other thing is, this needs to be understood. The same agent, which is look, there's got to be what thousands of agents out there now, right?
oh yeah,
This
absolutely,
same agent was dragged 100 feet by a vehicle back in June by
yeah,
another protester in the same city.
Right. And from this one, he actually had internal bleeding. So however
Right.
he
He was
got
injured
hit.
in this episode. So he must have been ran by the car a little
Yeah.
bit there, right? That would have been his injury.
Yeah, it would have had.
Now, there's also talk that it was mentioned that he shot too many times or shot after the fact. Um, there are no procedures that like you have the right to in self defense to discharge your weapon if necessary.
Hmm.
So what's happening in Minnesota is very ugly, and I think President Trump needs to think about instituting the Insurrection Act at this point before people start dying. What we're seeing here is unfortunately a modern version of a civil war breaking out.
Hmm.
Because now what the mayor of Minneapolis said yesterday about he basically condoned physical confrontation with ICE officers.
Yeah.
Basically saying it's talking about it like if it's a boxing match and who's going to match who's bigger, and
Yeah,
he is inciting violence, and it gets back to my point. I've said it before. I'm going to say it again. The things that some of these politicians, not everything that they're saying, but I'd say some of the most unhinged things that are being said are not covered by the free speech doctrine.
yeah, yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
it's not.
calling ICE agents Gestapo
Hmm.
is an attempt to what the are trying to do is get our citizens to believe that they're being threatened by Nazis in order to get them to act violently. That's the purpose of it. And they're walking a balance beam that they think they're walking of legal as someone who has followed the law my whole life. They're walking this what they think is a legal balance beam between free speech and insurrection.
Yeah.
And my opinion is they've already crossed that line. Some of them have already crossed that line. People like Crockett.
Oh, I think so too. I do
Yeah.
think so too.
Um,
Especially the former, military crew, Mark Kelly and
yeah.
Lee Plotkin and
Oh, yeah.
them,
Telling them you don't have to obey orders.
yeah, that is
That is directly calling for a coup.
unacceptable. Yeah.
It's not free speech. And so I don't know. I guess I sometimes I wonder why some of the stuff isn't why
Yeah.
I know that the optics of arresting a senator or arresting a congresswoman or whatever or arresting a governor for that Matt Pritzker is the same thing.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm really what I'm hoping
is bad, but
is that yes, there are plans in place to start arresting people because in some ways,
hope so.
if we don't, they're just gonna there has to be some consequence, or these people are just going to come back and they've already said that if the Democrats win the midterms, that they're immediately going to impeach Trump, and anything there's
They're
still.
going to do a lot more than that. They're going to shut the door hard at this time.
Yeah, yeah, it's gonna be. It's like right now, it's like
We will have the
House.
Gestapo.
Don't get me started on the Senate because that's just depressing. And I don't know which Republican senators are up for reelection in.
Neither of our Democrat ones, unfortunately,
Oh
are.
no, no,
Um,
neither of ours are.
so
But let me
just to
finish.
be
Let me finish. So what I think is that Trump is waiting because one of the things that he definitely does is wait until it's like there's no question with the optics that something has to happen here.
right, right.
Because if he does this without although I'm not quite sure how much more public opinion you need when you won by as much as he did. So
He's got a mandate. You can't. But you can't.
yeah,
He wants to. I think the Insurrection Act is certainly that's something that can be done.
right.
It should be done, and that would give him the right to bring in the army.
Yeah.
And
And I know he doesn't want to hurt people.
no, of course,
That's
Trump is not
very
trying to start. Trump. It's a myth that Trump is trying to start
yeah.
wars. That's ridiculous. He's creating peace around the world. For
Yeah.
God.
So
So
I know somebody who is on Zoom calls with him regularly, and she says, you should see him with his grandchildren. He's like, that's his grandchildren are why he's doing what he's doing. That's the reason.
President Trump, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
why I'm doing what I'm trying to do because of my grandchildren and my 3 kids too.
Mhm. Yeah.
I'm doing it because otherwise I'll be gone 25, 30 years.
Right.
I think we'll hang on for a little while here with this free country. But right now it's under. Well, I guess what I'm getting at is if you bring in the Insurrection Act and you bring in the army into Minneapolis, that's going to start problems in other cities.
Yeah.
I think we need to hold these politicians and really not just the politicians, but other renowned citizens that are speaking out and inciting.
News people. Let's throw them in the mix. The news people who are,
Yeah. What about Jimmy Kimmel?
yeah. Well, he's
Jimmy
not a news
Kimmel,
guy. He's an entertainer.
he's not an entertainer.
Well, he's not very entertaining, but that's
Very
all.
entertaining. Yeah,
I
but
mean,
it's a
there's some
guise
reasons
though. Like
why
I've
he's
seen
like
his.
basically losing his job at some point because he's just not that funny.
No, he's lost touch with comedy altogether. He's a guise. He's up there to he's a propagandist.
Mhm.
And don't think that the leaders of ABC don't know that.
Right.
It it's really sad. It's like our culture, our pop culture, which was fun when we were growing up,
Yeah.
has been hijacked by Marxists and Islamic terrorists. Really, honestly.
Yeah.
So
Well,
can I say
yeah.
it in a nutshell? Islamic terrorists and Marxists have taken over the Democratic Party
Mhm.
and are using it to try to destroy the United States from within.
Yeah.
Period. And if we
And
don't put a
they're
stop,
going back and forth. They'll like work together when they feel like they need to, but I'm gonna just go out on a limb here and say if between the two of them, one was gonna win, I'd probably go with the Islamic terrorists just because they have more kids.
yeah, and they're more
Communists
vicious.
don't want to have
They're
kids.
more vicious too.
Yeah, they really are.
And so but it's at this point, let's hope it never comes to them fighting each other because that means
But
we're
yeah,
gone.
that's gonna mean that we're like,
That we're gone. We're extinct.
yeah, yeah, yeah. We do not
Right?
want to get to that point.
No. So right now they're working together, or they're certainly in cohorts with one another.
Right.
So
The
this is what gets
communists are
to
better
what
at lying to themselves.
right.
That's what they are. They're
This
better at
gets to
lying.
what I've said before, and I'm going to say it again. Somebody's at the door. Yes. Hello. Oh, it's somebody delivering something. That's okay.
Okay.
Um, um, okay, so here's because of the internet, because of now AI, because of technology, the world is no longer this huge place anymore. The oceans don't really matter anymore. The
Uh-huh.
earth has become a very small place, and there's no longer enough room in this world for dictatorships. And we're either going to have evil dictatorships
Mm,
or we're going to have freedom.
yeah.
I got to get this door. Talk amongst yourselves.
All righty then. So, yeah. So, nope. Anything? Oh, he's still talking. Yeah. Sorry, guys. I'm unprepared to entertain you while Jason goes off to answer the door. I apologize. Yeah, so at some point here, I'm gonna start doing some just me posts with doing some Maha stuff because I actually have a master's in nutrition, and so I'm gonna start doing that, but not probably not until my thesis is done, which we're looking at spring graduation here, so you can
Nobody ever knocks on my door.
no, that's silly. So I just been telling the folks that I'm gonna see if I can start doing some Maha stuff here. Just me,
Yes.
so I just because
We
I
should probably we should probably plan to do, well, first of all,
maybe next week.
we should do some plan to do some whole shows on Maha and have some people on about it too. Another thing is, I would like to see
Well, can we
someday
start with me because
on
I
the,
do have a master's in nutrition?
do I?
No, I do.
Oh, I know you do. I know you do.
Good.
You're the one that talked me out of getting my colonoscopy, so
Uh, yeah.
you didn't really talk me out of it. You just said something. I was like, yeah.
Okay. Well, I
Um,
give you some reasons why it might be better to make a different choice. So,
but we'd like to see on this hopefully budding and growing Common Sense News and Entertainment Network an entire podcast show
yeah.
called Common Sense Maha.
Healthy. Yeah, let's talk about being healthy.
I have an entire show about that. There should be an entire podcast about that.
It really should because this is a huge subject
There,
and like yeah,
it's
subject.
again, if we're all sick and dying and none of the other issues matter.
Yeah, yeah, nothing else matters. Absolutely.
Our kids are also obese and they can't have children.
Yeah, yeah,
You
for all
know,
sorts of different
and
reasons.
half and we have 40% people are transgender someday. I mean, we're screwed. So we can't have that. We got to talk about Maha. It's very important. But getting back to Minnesota real quick though,
Right, back to Minnesota. We got distracted.
the it's how do we handle this, because it could become, this is what I see as the start of another civil war. It's just what a modern civil war looks like.
Yeah.
We don't have governors and mayors saying we're going to secede from the union, but they're doing the same thing. Stay out of
Yeah,
Minnesota.
effectively by
Stay out of Minnesota, they're telling us.
yeah.
Like,
Well,
are you the nation of Minnesota?
yeah, well, let's come back to Connecticut for a minute because one of the things that's going to come up in the legislature, and you guys should know this, is that they are going to try. So I assume that all of our listeners know that the CDC has been changing the vaccine requirements.
Yeah.
So they've been changing that on a federal level. You may or may not know that New England, Connecticut is certainly right on board. They're talking about creating their own version of the CDC with our tax money,
Yeah. Right.
and codifying all of those shots into some kind of legal doctrine.
To force us to have them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It's like
Which is another act.
require them for school, require them if you have to work for the government. And the government in Connecticut is the largest employer in Connecticut.
Which is sickening. That's a socialist. That's a disease. That should not be the case.
Yeah, that is a serious problem. We should be asking why the majority of employment is with the Connecticut government. That is
Right.
a serious
Well,
problem.
they're the largest. They're not the majority, are they?
They are the
No, the
largest, as you
largest.
know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
they are the
largest. Right.
largest
That's bad
employer
enough.
in the state. Yeah,
That's a problem.
it is a problem.
Connecticut state government needs to be
A lot
doged,
smaller.
gutted, doged,
Yeah.
and held accountable to the United States Constitution.
Mhm.
So we need help from the federal government. Hopefully, Pam Bondi, you can't just form your own CDC
Yeah.
and
No.
then make rules that supersede the rights we have in the Constitution with it.
Yeah, because that's what it does. It even, I mean, they took away the religious exemption for
Right.
vaccine.
By doing that same kind of thing, right? Trying to
Well,
do.
did that. I think it was like about 2 years ago. They just like, no, sorry, no more religious exemption.
Yeah, the heck with that.
Yeah.
Is somebody fighting that in court?
Kate Prokop has been doing her very best to try and get this. There's the new religious commission that Trump put together. They're also, I think, working on that kind of thing because not there's only it's like four, maybe six states that also did this. I'd be dyed and dipped in you know what if it wasn't California as well. Uh,
Right. I'm
California.
sure it is. California's the
But
worst. Well, second worst
so
to
I
us.
don't know which other states, removed it's not like a majority or anything. This was
No.
like so
Blue,
that
some of the blue states.
yeah, so we do have people who are going down to Washington. Kate Prokop, Pastor Dell, who's been on the show, the one of the Connecticut leader for the intercessors movement, which is a Catholic movement.
Yep.
So they're paying attention and focused on this, and maybe we can
Get Pastor Dell back on here.
get Pastor Dell back on here to talk
Yep.
about that because I know he's gone down.
Yeah,
So if he wants to come on and talk about that, we'd love to have him.
that'd be good.
So there's that, but it's like I don't see how this is remotely constitutional that they could just
No,
remove that. I don't see that. I don't. It's
no,
like
because it gets back. It does relate to what we were saying about Minnesota, because Connecticut is basically saying, "Hey, we're our own
yeah.
little thing here." You know,
And with the Democrat supermajority that we have in the state legislature, we've got it's like,
it's
God
really
bless
our
the
corrupted.
Republicans who are like waving the flag and saying, "Hey, stop this." They have no recourse. The
Right.
Democrats basically ignore them. Like the state
Yeah.
housing bill, they weren't even at the table.
Well, it's really our corrupt judicial system is really the reason.
Well, yeah, yeah. Well, it's yeah, because
That's our.
recourse.
And that's another problem I have. This is just Connecticut and nationwide.
Yeah.
When the Constitution was signed, there's the third branch of the government, the Supreme Court, was only meant to settle disputes between the
And there weren't
states.
even justices, right?
Between it only had 3 justices, and it was meant to settle disputes between states. You know, if Arkansas was suing Louisiana, or if
Okay.
the federal government had a problem with one of the states, or the other way around.
Oh,
That's what it was for. It was not meant to interpret every law.
okay.
It became that. A guy named Judge Justice Marshall set
Mhm.
that precedent early in the early 1800s.
Hmm.
And
Okay.
now it's become to the point where we literally do live under judicial fiat.
Yeah.
The reason why we don't have troops in keeping peace in Chicago and in Minneapolis right now is because some district in Chicago, particularly, some district judge said we couldn't do it.
Hmm.
So we all, even the president himself says, "Well, I hope the courts do the right thing." Blah blah blah. So we now live in a country where ultimately the Supreme Court is the king,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's not the
And
way it was
yeah,
intended.
and we're like, and that means we have to wait for something to appear before the Supreme
Yeah,
Court.
months and years sometimes.
And now
And
there's been a bunch of good rulings, and there was just one yesterday that I was really happy about.
right about men and women's sports, right?
Well, no, they haven't ruled on that yet.
Oh, right, you're right. I know.
Heard the
I
case.
heard that.
No,
I
the
heard it.
ruling meant that. So what happens when, and I can't remember which state this was, but it was, the problem has been is that, and this has happened over and over, is that when we've had the cheating in the elections, which we've talked about multiple times on this show,
Yes.
that the candidate will try and sue because they're trying to get access, they're trying to demand a recount, or they want to get access to the ballots, and then the court says you have no standing, which is
Insane.
insane. So
Yeah.
yesterday, the Supreme Court ruled in this specific case that yes, the candidates have standing to contest this stuff.
Yeah.
So if you are, you know, as a Republican, Republicans are not very good about coming out and voting. And I think we're going to talk a little bit about some of the psychology that we've been encountering.
That's where the new Sons of Liberty come in.
Yeah, well, so what's been happening is that Republicans don't necessarily turn out. You need to turn out for the primaries, for the midterm elections, because what happens is that if you get out there and vote, these candidates can now sue for standing.
Hmm.
They can sue if it looks like they didn't win. They
Yeah.
can sue to look at the
It
vote,
looks rigged. Yeah.
which they should.
And
They
they should.
absolutely should. It's like, you know what?
It is a big ruling. That's a good ruling.
It's a good
If
ruling.
Connecticut doesn't decide to ignore the ruling.
Well, there's that. But yeah, so that's, the enforcement then becomes the question. And we still have a lot of blockage federally. We don't have a U.S. attorney. I mean,
No,
we've got an interim one, but he's not doing anything.
no, I know.
Yeah.
We got a lot of corruption in our inside.
Yeah.
I believe. Here's my belief, and I think it's true. Khrushchev said in 1962, "We will bury you from within inside." He basically told his own country that we were going to bury the United States from the inside. And it's no coincidence that just about 8 or 9 years later, we started getting colleges full of far left wing professors and media full of the reporting started going a little slanted toward the left,
Mhm.
and you started to see this left wing movement in America begin. And then Reagan came along and Reagan,
Took it
even
up a
Bush,
little.
yeah, kind of stand with you for a little while, and then it said in when Obama, then they got the
Bush,
Manchurian candidate, they got
Bush.
Obama in
Oh no, it was
Manchurian
before
candidate.
that. It was Bush. Definitely Bush.
Oh, definitely Bush, yeah, but
Yeah.
Obama was the true Manchurian candidate.
Oh yeah, yeah, he
He got
definitely.
in there and just started tearing it apart,
Oh yeah.
and
Yeah.
he did. I saw Interstate 90. I saw Route 1 in North Carolina and South Carolina look like during Obama's administration with not a single factory open, all
Mhm.
shut down.
Yeah, he was bad.
That got Trump kicking.
Mhm.
And I don't know, I think most of us have seen an interview that Trump did back when he was in his 30s, like way back in the 70s.
Oh, yeah.
They
Tell me
asked him
about
about
that. I've seen it.
they asked him about running for office. He's like, "Oh, I don't want to I would never want to. It's too much of a dirty game. Too much of a dirty game."
Yeah. Which
And
he
he's
found
right.
out in his first term.
Yeah, yeah.
And they've
And
tried to shoot him. So,
so what Obama did got Trump pissed, and that got Trump involved.
mm,
And now when Trump came in, he pulled the mask off the bad guys, really.
yeah.
And when you pull a mask off a bad guy in disguise, his wolf comes out.
Mm,
And here we are. America's in a lot of trouble. Connecticut is in a lot of trouble. Connecticut state government is completely rogue.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
got to get out and vote. And we should talk a little bit about the psychology of
Joining together.
conservatives joining together
Sure.
and getting along.
Yeah. And I'm going to say up front that, and it may be that I'm looking at this from the outside a little bit because I was a Democrat for decades, for most of my young life, because my mom was a Democrat, and that's how I was brought up. And then I spent about 10 years as a libertarian. And libertarians are really interesting because, and this segues into this, but libertarians are really interesting. But there's a reason why the third party never wins. Because for libertarians, the most important thing is my personal freedom, which
Mhm.
means that there isn't a lot of skill in terms of dealing with other human beings. And
True.
being in a room full of libertarians is no damn fun, let me tell you, because they want to do is argue with each other. And if you actually want to get something done, you have to come to agreement. And
A
that means that you have to listen and you have to give up just a little bit of your individuality.
little bit of your libertarian there.
You gotta give a little bit of that up. And it's like libertarians can come to agreement on certain issues. It's like there's plenty of clarity about gun ownership and certainly about the vaccine issues. And anything that has to do with personal freedom, they're good, but it's like any degree of government control and they're out.
Yeah.
The problem with that is that libertarian ethics, of which I have read a great deal, they really don't understand that there are humans that want to do bad things or that think that the bad things that they're doing are good things.
Right. Yeah, there
There's
needs to
no
be some
acknowledgement.
accountability out there.
Yeah, there's no acknowledgement of that in the concept of the ethics. Adam Smith did a much, much better job because he looked at humans the way they were, as
Mhm.
they existed, and his essay on ethics, which is actually a whole book, which I've also read, was it really it takes into account the way humans are. And
So I call it the 90-10. To me, it's the 90-10.
okay,
Like 90% of human beings will not go out of their way to hurt you.
right, and 10%
Period.
absolutely will. Yeah.
10% absolutely will if it serves their
And
interests.
most
They
of the
absolutely
time,
will.
those are young males of any race.
Men are more aggressive than women in general. So yeah.
It's
And
reality.
younger people are more physical in general. So yeah.
Yeah, just a fact of
Doesn't
life.
mean old folks aren't already better, really.
And
They
well,
just mature. Some of them mature.
they
I
could be
guess some
5
grow
years.
out of the. There's some grow out of it. There's this kid I went to school with. There's always that one kid in school that's violent. Pushing and shoving everybody and
Right.
punching on people. And one of them was in my neighborhood, and of course we all grew up together. And he was always punching and hitting on me and pain in the ass, kind of. One day I ran into him when I was like in my early 30s, and we're all hanging out, and I'm like, we must have. I'm sure it's just childhood, because I talked to other people I've been to school with. We get along fine. That we didn't. That's
Mhm.
what happens when you grow up.
Yeah, right.
The kid pulled a knife on me that day. Pulled a knife on me that day. I was like, wow, this is when
Wow.
I grew up. Yeah.
Good
So
way to get over it.
10%, right? 10%,
Yeah.
and there's another 20 or 30% that I call opportunistic.
Hmm.
Meaning they're not going to hurt you, but if they have a chance to like steal something, or if they see an opportunity to do something bad and they don't think they'll get caught, they're
Right.
going to do it.
Mhm.
That's about another 10 or 20%, I think. Um, and then the rest of us are I think, relatively honest people, but honest people, good people are overshadowed by these smaller percentages because we're
Yeah,
not as loud
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and we don't come out and vote.
Yeah, you got to get out and vote.
And
So let's
your
talk
point.
a little bit about, the stuff that we've been running into in terms of, building coalitions. Now, we
Mhm.
we're MAGA, which is, make America great again, and the whole thing about that is there is a central goal here. It's not, it's like Republicans. It's like, what does it mean to be a Republican? We don't even know. Trump basically hijacked the Republican Party to get his butt in office because if he'd
Right.
run libertarian,
You wouldn't
never,
win. You
nothing
get
would
two
have
percent of
happened.
the vote. Yeah.
Yeah, nothing would have happened. He would have gotten no publicity. It wouldn't have been, it's like, because no one pays attention to third parties. That's a reality.
Shouldn't just making our home great again, shouldn't that be something we all want to do?
Ideally. And what's insane is that the Republicans don't seem to be having that as a goal. As a party, they do not seem to be having this as a goal. So we got two problems. We got the Republican Party, which is almost certainly corrupt. And as a total aside,
The party leadership is not they're not the
yeah,
people.
well, yeah, the
Yeah.
party leadership.
Yep.
And I'm not pulling back on that one because
That's true. I mean,
you guys didn't know
last
this.
summer when I ran against Ben Proto was all the proof I needed.
Yeah, well, Ben Proto, and I'm
For
going to say it
Connecticut.
again, I've said it before, is that he just got appointed this last year. He got appointed as the head of the RNC Budget Committee.
Yeah. An
So
incompetent leader who's done nothing in Connecticut gets appointed to a federal level.
yeah, yeah. I mean, his idea of doing a great job seems to be showing up on as many podcasts and news interviews as possible.
But she wouldn't come on this one.
I bet he wouldn't. I'll bet he wouldn't. I
We wouldn't dare.
well, we already know that he's not going to be fond of you, sir.
He's not fond of me, that's for sure.
Yeah, I'm
But he's
sure.
never had the balls to call me or talk to me or
Well,
message
you're
me or
not important in his world, and he's made sure you're not important in his world. Whether or not
we'll
that
see
is
how important he thinks I am.
yeah, well, we'll see how that
We'll
goes.
see how that all turns out for him.
Yeah, because
Because we're coming for you, Ben.
coming
I don't mean you
for your
physically.
position,
I'm
man.
not I mean, we're gonna get you out of your position because you don't
Yeah, we're
belong there.
coming for his position.
We're coming here for position, right?
Yeah,
Coming for your job, not you, but your
good
job.
job. We're coming
Well,
here.
for you, no, we're coming for you. Maybe we want to interview you though.
No.
Why not, right?
So we've got the problem with the Republican Party, which is not MAGA. Republican Party does not have
Unfortunately,
a goal that makes sense to the majority of Americans. So what's very interesting is that people who are on the left, who are leaving the left and they think they're going to jump in the Republican Party and have a home, it's like, guys, no, you're not. Do it anyway.
it's
It's
still good
so
to do it anyway because
yeah, do it anyway.
the more people that, especially on the leadership level,
Yeah,
nobody's doing it on that level really.
right.
Like Fetterman should
You
just jump
need
over at this
people in
point.
the party. You need to claim the darn thing. That's what Trump did. Do
Right,
what Trump did.
right. We have to win
We
through
have an
strength.
example of this.
It's really is peace through strength here too.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, show up, storm the RTCs. Please show up at the RTC meetings. Just finding out where these meetings are happening is a challenge, though.
Can be. Not all of them.
Not
So
all of them. Some of them
I
are very
have another.
upfront
So
about it.
remember I told you I'm now a member of my RTC.
Yes, that's
A
awesome.
long pursuit. There was a long pursuit. And we have at least I know of several other MAGA people who have gotten themselves on their RTCs in Connecticut.
Yep,
But one of
good.
the things that's
So
come up
what you're
is
saying is there's some progress being made. Some of
there
these
is
things.
and I have some more fun news. So in Wolcott, there were apparently three people of Democrat persuasion who had gotten themselves onto the Republican town committee.
Really
Yeah, and they all got voted out.
nice. So we're on to this mole business.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that was I just got that news last night, which was yes, thank you. Good
Look, we
job.
got to fight
Bob
this
Wolcott.
now. We
Yeah.
got to fight this with cameras and with ballot box and with active participation, civic participation.
Yeah.
Okay. Or this is all so we don't have to do it with guns down the road, guys and girls.
Yeah.
Seriously, it's
Yeah.
that important. Get
Yeah.
off of your dairy. At least go vote. At
Yeah.
the very
At a
least,
at a minimum.
at a minimum, at an
So
absolute
in terms
minimum.
of, back to the RTCs is like some of the comments I've heard are like, um, some people are like, they really, really tried for a long time and just got burnt out. I totally get that. Totally get it. But some of the other comments I've heard have been like, wow, I went to one of those last week and I haven't been done being bored yet.
Because it didn't talk about crocheting and
No,
mundane
well,
issues.
I
And
don't know because that was the only comment they
I've
made.
been
Now,
to a
that could
couple
have
of
been
them.
the case. It could have been, yeah, they were talking about recipes for coleslaw. But here's the thing, folks. It's really helpful if you have some familiarity with Robert's Rules of Order before you go. because we have some, one guy who we're very, who we've done a ton of stuff with. He's not been on the show, but he's worked really, really, really hard. He's been doing it for he's been working hard in the MAGA movement in Connecticut, like
Hmm.
since Trump's first term,
Yeah.
the real one, not the 2021. Um, so yeah, he's been working on this for years. And just last night, he was sitting, he's been to a couple RTC meetings, and he's like, I have no idea what's happening. I was like, you try going on YouTube and watching some videos on Robert's Rules of Order.
Hmm.
Because if you walk into a meeting and you don't know what the format is, you're going to just zone out. You're not going to know what's going on, and you're just going to be intimidated and want to leave. So, or you're going to be bored
Hmm.
as because like I said, I don't know if this person was bored because they were talking about coleslaw or because they were doing Robert's Rules of Order and he didn't know what was happening because this
Right.
isn't something that is normal in our day-to-day lives.
Right.
So, go watch some videos on Robert's Rules of Order so that you understand how a meeting is run.
Yeah.
I will say that I suspect that my RTC isn't too tight about that, but maybe it was because that meeting ended up being in a parking lot.
It's kind of like the Twas the Night Before Christmas cartoon Christmas special, right? I carry 2 seconds.
Yeah, yeah, it's
Motion
like that.
carried.
And you
You
don't
now
have
speak for 5 minutes. So it's kind of that's kind of that kind of
yeah,
thing. But those
yeah,
rules are
yeah. It's
important to
like
look over.
I make a motion
I
to
second the
like,
motion.
okay.
All those
Yeah,
in favor? Aye.
yeah, there's also
Anyone want to
there's
speak?
procedure. Yeah, and you have to know the procedure. If and you have to know the procedure if you actually want to get anything done or, just understand what's going on.
Hmm.
So, don't walk into it assuming that it's going to make any sense the first time through, unless you happen to be a parliamentarian. And if you are, God bless you, would you like to come be on the show?
Right. You're right.
So, yeah. So, I mean, all of that matters. The other thing I wanted to talk about was, one of the things that I've encountered is um, conservatives being really angry because someone isn't sufficiently um, doesn't have a specific agreement about a specific thing. And I've had this happen to me a couple times where it's like, oh no, you don't agree with me, and therefore I can't have anything to do with you.
That sounds like Democrat behavior more than anything, really.
Well, I think if you want to talk psychology, there is a specific way that our brains relate to morality, and loyalty is one of the things that happens. And I've had it, I've had people either it's like, oh, you're too different to be anywhere near me. And I haven't had a lot of that. I'm not actually seeing a lot of that,
Yeah,
but
hopefully not too much of that.
yeah, it's happened. But
Yeah. I know I got into a guy on Facebook, a real big Trump guy over the burning the flag issue.
yeah,
But and I
it's
think
a very specific issue.
yeah, I don't. I think burning the American flag is a despicable thing to do.
Yeah,
However, I don't think you should be arrested or go to jail for it because it's First Amendment protected activity, whether
right.
you like it or not, right? Um, and if there's no other violence going on
For
around it, you're not
example,
disturbing the peace,
right.
then you can do whatever you want. You may be. I think you're an ass if you do that, but you can do it if you want.
So that kind of that you're almost into that almost gets into the
It
religious.
pisses off a lot of MAGA people, actually, when I say that.
Well, yeah, yeah, yeah. Well,
So
so I think this is like, and this is me like I'm blue skying a little bit here, not in that Democrat kind of way. I'm speculating. We probably shouldn't use that term. So blue skying is that like that you're just daydreaming about something. So yeah, but not in that
I
Democrat.
think what the key to fixing is we have to remind each other that we still agree on the major things: economic
Yeah, yeah.
prosperity,
The
God
goal.
and country, whatever. We
Yeah,
all.
yeah. It's
And
like
I think when
we
you get
have
into
a
those things, we
goal.
have to just remind ourselves that we're
Yeah,
united in these areas, and that the very nature of our freedom is why we can disagree on these little things. We
yeah,
shouldn't hate on each other over it.
yeah. And you can hold the Constitution. I literally hold it as a sacred document.
I do too. I
Yeah.
always have,
Yeah. So,
and the
but
Declaration of Independence
that
for that.
also means you have to really understand, what it means and what freedoms we get to have because it exists.
Hmm.
and that's important.
It's very
But
important.
having the goal, the MAGA goal, which is as you just articulated all of this, which is like, no men in women's sports, no men in women's
Yeah,
classrooms. We get to defend ourselves. We get to say what as long as we're not inciting violence, we get to
right.
say what we think.
Right
Uh,
to our privacy. We don't have to identify ourselves,
yes, yes,
unduly without due process or whatever.
yes, yeah. So, and this is to stay focused on the goal is what's important. And
Yeah.
so if you're in a situation where you're with a bunch of people that, you might not normally be hanging around with for whatever the reason, maybe they're not sufficiently, if they're Christian, maybe they're not Christian like you're Christian. It's like the Catholics and the Protestants used to kill each other. They used to be a thing. They don't do that
Well,
anymore.
that's the funny
Good.
thing you say that
But
because
you got to figure out how to get together politically, which is what our ancestors in Connecticut absolutely did.
they did.
Yep. They,
It's funny because it's the extremes. Like when it comes to religion, there are rank and file Islamic people that are not out to
Mhm.
make you convert or anything like that. Um, but it's Islamic extremism, which is one of the world's biggest problems right now. But if you go
Yeah,
back 1,000 years, it was the world's extreme Christians that were the biggest world's problem at the time.
that's not really true.
Well, the Middle Ages, come on, the Spanish Inquisition,
Well,
come on.
well, yeah, okay, I'll give you the Spanish
What
Inquisition.
went on in
I will
Europe during
give
the
you.
Dark Ages and the early Middle Ages was pathetic. The kind of religious doctrination that was going on behalf of Christians was terrible.
Yeah, and
You
and
know,
I will give you especially the Spanish Inquisition.
yeah.
That
I'm not
was,
saying it was. I'm not saying
but
it was everywhere. I mean, look at what
here,
Martin
here,
Luther
here-
did.
here's something I want to, that's like, if we want to bounce around a religion a little bit, because yeah, that's kind of my purview right now, um, is that I think where Christianity went sideways was because it was involved in government. It was
Yeah,
government. And that's
that was the
what
whole
the
reason
Constitution
behind.
was trying to avoid.
Right, that's the whole reason behind the separation of church and state we established here.
Yeah, yeah. Because there were multiple different branches of Christianity, and there were Jews here. There were Jews here during the founding. They were here.
I think there was. Isn't the main theme of Judeo-Christian values is live and let live.
Oh.
Live and let live. You can have any religion you want, but don't try to force it on me.
I don't know that I would agree with that. I think you could have that discussion with Pastor Dell. I don't feel like I'm qualified to discuss that.
Okay. I mean, live and let live is a philosophy I like to go by.
Well, it is. I mean, that's very
It,
libertarian.
it is. It's
Because
behind, but it's common law. Live and let. It's
here's
common law.
here's what I would say. Here's what I would say is that we couldn't have gotten to libertarianism if we hadn't had um, Christianity and Immanuel Kant, who articulated a lot of these values. And I don't know that we could have, it's like if you want to talk about big movements in history, I think Christianity, because there was the value of the individual as exemplified by Christ.
Came long after he was gone
And
too.
well, I mean, because that is the story, that is the
That's the
basis
story behind it, right?
religion was that the individual actually mattered because he did something that mattered to all humanity. That
Mhm.
is that's the story.
Sure.
That's the religion. So I don't think, and we couldn't, I don't think, there's two pieces to the slavery thing, but to have that individual importance, the importance of the individual is to say, okay, so if I am an individual and I matter, why is this government controlling everything that I do?
Right.
Why is
That
this
makes
government
sense.
taxing the heck out of stuff out of me when, I'm just trying to feed my family here.
Yeah.
Uh, to take that and turn it into a moral stance, I think Christianity gets total credit for that.
Yeah, I agree.
And we could,
There's a
we,
book
we
called
literally
Protestantism.
couldn't have libertarian ethics without that.
There's a book called
Problem
Pro.
with
I don't know who the
libertarian
author.
ethics is it throws religion out the window.
I don't know. I don't know who the author is, but there's a book called Protestantism and the Rise of Capitalism, which is kind of about the Reformation with Martin Luther and whatnot,
Uh-huh.
which was a really important part of our history. It opened the door for
Yeah.
sort of the kind of peaceful religious thing that we have, and away from the Spanish Inquisition stuff.
Yeah. Yeah,
Essentially,
that wasn't a good thing
you
at
know what?
all.
Another good document though is not just the Constitution, but the Declaration of Independence.
Hmm.
So if
Hmm.
you read through that, it lists the grievances that the colonists had with the
Yes,
king,
yes, yes.
and that tells you the intent.
Right.
Even though it's not technically the law of the land,
Hmm.
it's
Well, yeah, people, yeah, kids should be reading this
it should be
in
reading this stuff.
script, which nobody can read.
But reading and studying. I think when I was in school, they brought it up to us, but they didn't really have us. We
No,
studied
we
the
didn't
Constitution a
get
little bit,
reading on those things in school. That's
right?
crazy. Looking back on it, it's like, well, that was insane. It's American history. Why are we reading this?
Right.
Well, communism. Communism in the teaching schools.
Yeah,
So,
what you were saying the other day about the how the records are electronically getting deleted now. A lot of old records are getting deleted now. Is really a bad thing. That's what happened at the end of the Roman Empire, by the way. When the Roman Empire at that time was like the United States at that time. Even
yeah,
though obviously they had slaves and things weren't like they are now. It was
right.
ancient times,
Everybody
the
has
ancient
slaves.
world. But
Everybody.
they actually had a senate. They had a emperor, essentially a president, and they actually the landowners had voting rights. There was a
Mhm.
lot of things that went on that were very advanced at the time. They had a sewage system. They had they were very,
Yeah,
very advanced
yeah, they
considering. And if you were a Roman living in Rome, you actually could have a decent life, and there was some semblance of commerce there, a real chance to break away from the. It was a chance for a renaissance then.
were.
What happened was insurrectionists like Minnesota freaks
Mhm.
came in and just started rummaging the place, and cultural warfare like we have here went on. Rome fell, and the records that Rome had a great sense of,
Oh yeah,
we
they kept track of everything.
they kept track of everything. All that was destroyed and lost and gone and burned. And so when I hear what happens here about our records being destroyed, that scares me.
It's disturbing. Yes,
Right.
it's
So
very
the
disturbing.
civilized Western world is
Mhm.
in a lot of trouble,
Yeah,
and it needs to fight back. That's simple. But
yeah.
are we there?
Just about. I have. There's
Oh,
my,
you have your
I
closing up
have my
here.
thing. So one of our listeners asked if you would be continuing to play ukulele to your cat. And he
Yes.
wants to know if you can do one that can you do what was the guy who tiptoe through the tulips?
Oh yeah, I've done that
Wanted
song
to know if you
before.
could do that.
I could do that.
Okay.
I
Okay,
could
so
do
that's
that.
a special request from Dominic.
Okay, I need a few days to rehearse, but I'll do it.
Okay, you got okay, awesome.
I know I'm not sure if I can. My cat will be here because my cats are free. They go where they
Well,
want.
I think it was more important, more about the performance than the
Okay,
cat.
my cats are
Does
libertarians. They
like
do what they
cats,
want. My
and
cats are liber-
he's not a cat guy. He's one of the guys I
oh,
train with.
I got you. Yeah, my cats are libertarians. They're free. They do what they want.
All cats are liberal.
If they had hands, they
Although
could open my
sometimes
doors.
they're
That's the only
communists
restriction.
because they just want to live off you.
Tiptoe through the tulip. I don't know if I can
You got
sing
to
it
get the
that well though.
falsetto going though, dude.
Can I do the Bowser version? Tiptoe through the tulips,
Well, if you want to
through the
put your own
tulips.
stamp on it, I don't know.
I'll have to do it my own way. So it's been a good show. We talked a lot about important stuff. We're going to be doing more. We're going to look for more guests. Keep it going. Watch out for common sense news and entertainment
All right.
coming down the road.
Now I'll work on the logo.
Okay, great.
All right. All
So
right.
then,
All right.
God
So
bless Connecticut. God bless America. Goodbye, everybody. Selena Rifkin and Jason Douglas. We'll be back again on Tuesday.
and have a
With Jay
fantastic
Anderson.
weekend, you guys.
Bye
All right.
bye.
Bye.